Hello, welcome back to the channel, you guys. Today we're going to be going through an if statement. So we're going to be looping through a range, and we're going to be using an if statement with multiple conditions inside of it, okay? This one's a little bit longer, so we're going to get right into it. All right, so as you see on my screen here, we have a set of data, column A, column B. Column A just being the products and the price being in column B. What we want to do is loop through this range and determine and revalue these price per items based on the condition here. All right, so let's go ahead and open up our code editor. We're gonna right click on our window or our April tab here, hit view code. And I'm gonna split this so that you guys can see what we're talking about and write code at the same time. All right, so we're gonna start it off with sub. We'll just call it if practice. All right, now we're gonna set up our for loop. So the first thing we're gonna do is get the last row in our range. So we're gonna say last row equals active sheet dot cells active sheet dot rows dot count column A dot end Excel up dot row. This is going to get us our last row of our data set. So let's imagine we have 100 rows today and 200 rows tomorrow in our data set. This loop will still work because we're using a dynamic way of getting the last row in our for loop. All right, so let's go ahead and set up our for loop for x equals 2 to last row. We're going to get next x. If you guys are unfamiliar with these for loops, please go back and check my previous videos. I go in depth about these things and how to write them and how they work. Okay, so again, we're going to set up an if statement, a condition to say if if the product is wireless headphones, the price needs to be 15. If it's travel backpack, we need to change this to 20. If it's smartwatch, we need to change this to 25. All right, so we're going to reference the sheet that we're working with. So we're going to say with active sheet, and we're going to say end with. You always got to end it. So now we're going to set up our if statement. So the first thing we need to do is get our product name. So we're going to set up a variable, product name equals dot range, and it is going to be the value in column A for our first iteration of our for loop. So that's why we're doing this concatenation of X. So our first value is going to be A2, next one's going to be A3, next one is going to be A4. So we'll be able to loop down through here and get those values, all right? So now let's go ahead and set up our if statement. We're going to say if the product name equals what? Wireless headphones, then what do we want to do? Well, we want to change the value in column B, the same row of value B, or column B rather, to be, we'll just say 15, all right? Our next condition, we want to say else if the product name equals travel backpack, then what do we want to do? Same thing, dot range, column B, and x dot value equals, we'll change this to 20. Our next condition, else if product name equals smartwatch, then what do we want to do? We want to change the value of column B to be, we'll just say 25. And then we'll say else, which means if it's not wireless headphones, it's not travel backpack, and it's not smartwatch, we just want to leave the price to be the same. So we'll just say the dot range, column B value equals the same value, B and X dot value. And there we go, end if, okay? Always got to end our if statements. When we start a conditional block, we need to end it with end if. Same thing with our with, we're ending it with end with, all right? So what we're going to do, we're going to step through this together. So once we execute this line, we hover over last row, you'll see last row is 4, okay? We got our for loop starting for x equals 2 to last row. We're in our active sheet, we've got our product name. So when we execute this line, we hover over product name, you see wireless headphones. Okay, you guys might not see it, the text is kind of small, but it says wireless headphones, which is correct. So we're checking if the product name equals wireless headphones, then do this. Well, this should evaluate to true. So after we pass this, you'll see it gets down into here. So that means it's evaluated to true, so we need to execute this. So once I execute this line, you'll see this 12 turn to a 15, bam. So it changed to 15. And then it exits the loop, or exits the if statement rather, because the condition has already been met. All right, so let's keep going through. Product name is travel backpack. We're on the next row of our iteration. So we checked this one, it didn't pass, so it moved on to the else if, the next one. and it should pass this one, and it did, which means it's going to come down into here. You'll see this 15 change into 20. Bam, it exits the if statement, and then we got our last iteration, which will come down to here, and it will pass this one here. So you'll see this 18 turn into a 25. Bam. And then we'll come down here, and we are at our last row, 4, so it's exiting our for loop. And there we go. So this is a quick way to write an if statement with multiple conditions. So if you need to check multiple conditions, those else ifs will come into play. A couple things to note: we covered our dynamic range here. We did another for loop like we've done in the previous VBA and 5-minute videos with our active sheet, and then we set up our if statement condition, and then we exited our for loop, and then exited our subroutine. So if you guys learned something from this, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. If you have something you want to learn, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be more than happy to put a video together and go over exactly what those topics are. See you in the next one. Peace.